Hello, my name is Jeremy Ross Lawler. I'm a composer, a multi-instrumentalist. I play guitar, keys, bass and can sing. You may know me from previous bands like Winter's Edge, Signed by None, Dreadnought, Dystopia and Agrathesis. My musical influences as a boy were actually from my parents. My mum was into things like Bob Marley, Elvis Presley, that kind of style of music and classical, whereas my father was into like Roxette, Small Faces, Black Sabbath, that kind of thing. And then my sister and brother, who also heavily influenced me on music, were into like I guess pop, trance, dance music, lots of kind of like that kind of thing. My sister then was more into grunge and metal, which is kind of what influenced me to be liking all that kind of music as I grew and got older. And then in my late teens, I guess it was, or say early teens, I would say it's friends at college and school, or Slipknot, Iron Maiden, Manowar, Nirvana, especially my sister influenced me on them, getting introduced to that band, things like that. And then it kind of went into the more kind of like variation of things, because I used to buy the Terrorize issues, which heavily helped me with finding out new bands, unsigned bands and stuff, which was like Darkville, Cradle of Filth, Dragon Force, Iced Earth, Blind Guardian, Amon Amarth, just so many bands. And then over the years, from like power metal stuff, from Primal Fear, Hammerfall, Gamma Ray, Halloween, into Symphony X, and lots of different influences. So it's hard to nail a particular one, but I'd say over the years it's always changed and evolved. So my musical journey, if you're talking about like when did I pick up my first like instrument and things, then I was about 8 or 9 when I properly started actually playing guitar properly and things, and trying to work out stuff rather than, even though I was younger when I actually first picked up a guitar, that was probably the time when I was actually trying to work out little bits. And then when I got to about 13, I was taking it a lot more seriously and writing riffs and things, and actually writing music that made sense in some form, because I taught myself, so self-taught with guitar and things. And it wasn't until like later years that I went into different instruments and things. So I'd say if you're talking about that kind of thing, then that's when it started. I think what sparked my musical journey was not succeeding in the things originally that I set out to succeed in. It's okay to fail, as Arnold Schwarzenegger does his great videos and stuff about, and it's really moving because it's so true. It's like, don't be afraid to fail, pick yourself up again and keep going. And kind of I set out originally, I think, to be a writer. It didn't work out for me. Then an artist, and then that didn't work out for me. So by the time I got to after college and stuff and really taking music a bit more seriously, I then looked back and thought, you know what, I can use these failures in my music, in the sense that I can write lyrics because I'm a good storyteller, which I've been told about, and I can design the concept art, the rough sketches for a better artist to do and commission them, and then of course write the music, because obviously I was already playing instruments at this time. So I would say that's kind of the journey I took to get to where I was. As well as being influenced by hearing music around me, from, if it's the radio, just people in general, playing in public, or friends. When I met John from Iced Earth back in 2007, he gave me some fantastic advice when I went to their signing, and he was like, you should go solo. Kind of like, he was really nice. He was like, I believe in you and stuff. I think, if your mind's set on it, you'll make it and stuff. And then of course, I then formed Winter's Edge. I'm very grateful for that. So that kind of things, all those things have helped my musical journey. And it's just, I love saying that story because it was so true in what happened, and you know, when I had the conversation with John, and it's just, yeah, it was just such a lovely guy and honest and everything, and I was just like, and for a fan, not just a fan but a musician, you know, having this conversation with him, it was just moving, and it just gave me the push I needed. So you know, and I know that obviously now I'm not in Winter's Edge, but I did a decade being in Winter's Edge, and it was an amazing journey. 3 albums, you know, later, and doing lots of tours and playing great shows and stuff and making amazing music. So you know, it's a crazy time, and now I'm using everything I've learned to move forward. So you know. I briefly touched on this at the beginning, but I play guitar, keys, I sing, and play bass. I've been playing music for 24 years in total, I believe. I'll post some more links and things at the end of the interview, but just for now, so you know where to find my previous works, I'd say the best thing to do is look up Winter's Edge on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter or Instagram. As you know, I was the founder of Winter's Edge when it originally started as a solo project, and I was the main songwriter for all the previous 3 albums. So I'd say it's a very good place to start to find out what I've been involved in, along with Metal Charity, which wasn't possible without the help with Ignite AMR, which is actually done through Nick, who's actually the guitarist for Winter's Edge as well. He's a lovely guy and my best friend, and so I did some things with him, and he did some things with me, which led to obviously Metal Charity, and you can find me singing and playing guitar for the song Home Sweet Home on YouTube for that project, and you'll find some other bits online as well, and things like that. So I'd say that's a good place to start if you want to look up what I've you know, done in the past and things like that. Ooh, that's hard. That's a really hard question. If you're thinking like just like your dream band, oh, I'd say it's probably Iced Earth, because I absolutely love Iced Earth. You know, Iced Earth would be definitely probably my top choice. Symphony X, Primal Fear, Amon Amarth. Actually, I really like Amon Amarth. That's a hard one. That's a really hard question. You know, that's really hard. I think I'd like to be in lots of bands, to be fair, so it's really hard to decide, but I'd say if I'm talking about like your dream band, yeah, I'd say that I'll go with those. I think I'll go with those. Maybe Stratovarius as well, you know, and things like that. So, what advice would I give someone starting out in the music industry, or starting a jam band or something like that? I'd say the first thing I'd probably say is take the time to find out what you actually really want to do. If you want to take it seriously, or if you just want it as a fun band thing, or just a fun solo thing, or you know, it's always good to have an idea of where you want to go with it and achieve, or you know, and that kind of thing, because it just gives you a fresh aspect of the goals you have in mind and things. So I'd say that's a really good thing to have already planned. Another thing is to take advice from the best musicians and the best people that you're surrounded by. So if you're just in a jamming band and you're still doing it as a kind of just a side thing, but you want to take it to the next level, and you're playing with all these other bands, seek advice from some people, and there's no harm in asking, and just getting a bit of feedback and things like that, and it just builds it all up. And not only your confidence, but it also helps you know where you need to improve and things like that, especially if you go towards a more serious route. It's always good to have people to look up to as well, and you know, things like that. Another thing is to be nice, even in the worst situations. Just always be nice. There are going to be times, which I've briefly mentioned before in other interviews and things like that, that you're going to feel that did I do the right thing, and everyone makes a few mistakes stuff, but try your hardest to just kind of back off, or just kind of take a breather and kind of then go back to the situation or whatever it is, depending on what the situation and the whole thing is. But I'd say try and be nice all the time, even when you feel that you don't want to, and you feel you're in the right and that person's in the wrong or whatever. It's because you're not just representing you, but your band or anything else. You're also like putting that energy towards your fan base and things like that, so people see all this stuff. So I just say, just be careful and enjoy yourselves, and be professional, be careful, and you don't want to be known for something, and then in every gig you play, someone's bringing that up, especially if it's a bad thing. So it's just good to be nice and things like that. And I'd say they're probably the three main things. And have a good time as well. Enjoy yourself. You can be professional and still have a good time and have a laugh. It's not all just seriousness all the time. We're not robots. We're people. We're made to socialise and have fun as well, and as well as do well at what we do. So it's all about that kind of thing. So yeah, I'd say there you go, 4 things. So if you're starting out and stuff, so good luck. This is similar to the what band would you like to be in? So my dream band lineup. Oh, that's tough. That's another toughie. Obviously John from my stuff, no doubt about it. Michael Pop Symphony X, of course, on bass. Obviously John on guitar. It's hard. Obviously keys, Ginger Henson. If I wasn't playing keys, from Stradivarius. I'd like to say on vocals Ralph from Prime Fear, or Kai Hansen from Gamma Ray. I'd say probably in vocals. Along with that's tough. Let's think of another vocalist. I've forgotten her name. Is it Anna? One of Nightwish's previous singers. I think she'd be awesome. If I got it wrong, someone correct me. But yeah, she's a brilliant singer. So another vocalist. On drums, I've always wanted to work with my mentor Gary King, so I'd probably pick Gary King on drums. And I think that'd be it. If you mean anyone famous in, say, the music industry, as I mentioned, I met John from my stuff, who, as I said before, gave me great advice, and obviously one of the reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing as well, especially in the solo front, and able to keep being inspired. So again, thank you, John, and it was lovely to meet you back. And so again, he's a lovely guy, and gave me great advice. Another person is, of course, my mentor Tony Dolan, who I got to know through BBNF Radio, especially when I was going into being more of a professional musician, and my years in Winter's Edge. Tony really had my back and gave me great advice and looked after me, and I'm very grateful to not only be his friend but have him as my mentor as well. And he surprised me at a show. Actually, we were headlining a Winter's Edge show in London, near where he lives, and he popped in and we had a few drinks together, and it was the first time I got to actually meet him and it was just fantastic. He's just such a lovely guy and very down to earth. So thank you, Tony, for that. Hope to see you soon. And another person that everyone may know, especially on social media, and always say that he's lovely, is Mike LePont for Symphony X. He really is lovely. He's a lovely guy, and I've known him for many years over social media and over the internet, and speaking, various weeks about our lives and stuff. And I finally got to meet him for the first time this year at Symphony X London show. So it was really awesome to meet Mike LePont as well, and have a bit of time to hang out and and chat and stuff. So in person. So there's a few there, and I have met others, but there's just a few I'd mention. And no, I haven't actually. One thing I do aim to change is perform abroad. I have booked shows and promoted shows abroad, but I've never actually performed any shows abroad. So I would like to in the years to come. So who knows? Hopefully I'll be playing abroad at some point. I was just reading the next question, which was, have I ever experienced or done anything embarrassing whilst being in a band or anything like that? When I was in Winter's Edge, I think I was either me or a promoter booked a place to stay in Kidderminster after playing in Birmingham. And it was quite funny because before we were going to this place, I spoke to the people who ran it and stuff, and we were meant to have someone to be around when we check, because we were saying we're in a band, we're coming back at 2 in the morning or 1 in the morning, and we need to be showing our rooms and stuff. And we get to this place and it's just pitch black, and it looked almost like between two car parks, an industrial estate and a mansion. It was like a cross between, so it was almost like there's other people's properties on this place. And there was loads of land, and it was a really beautiful location. It was really beautiful, but the problem was we didn't know where our rooms were. We just couldn't work it out, and we were going around trying to find these rooms. And in the end, we found 2 rooms with the wrong their keys in, but the wrong names on the doors, and we're like, well, we're knackered. No one's in these rooms. They've obviously left keys and say they're available. And so till we found the rooms, we were just hogging onto these 2 rooms that were actually not what we booked, but but it was just as a backup plan. So me and Nick went around the whole place. It must have been an hour and a half, 2 hours, and it was we went through these beautiful mansion rooms and everything. We're just going through everywhere. And it was just so funny, and we were having a laugh on the way trying to find these rooms. We bumped into people along the way that were just obviously guests there, and and stuff like that. And in the end, we actually managed to find the room that we'd booked, and the door was open, and we were like, this is a bit creepy. And so I think it was Nick went up, or I did, or we were and then we heard a voice, and we're like, we apologised and everything. We're sorry, but we're oh, that's kind of our room. And what we realised is when the rooms were booked, they'd given us the rooms that were on the information they'd sent us were completely wrong, so it was their fault. So in the end, we were okay, we've been circling for ages, and we were literally having a laugh at the same time. And we ended up going back to these 2 rooms, and then we just crashed out, and we're you know what? At the end of the day, it's their fault. We're just going to stay in whatever rooms we can find. So we ended up staying in these 2 rooms, and it was just hilarious. The whole show, me and Nick were just having a field day, just cracking up with laughter. There was a piano in one room, and one was really creepy, and went through a kitchen, a weird dodgy alleyway bit, back of the mansion, and then across loads of outside parts with the pool and stuff. It was a really nice location, but also weird. And then there was parts that looked like there was someone's house attached to it and stuff like that, and then another little bungalow. So it was an experience. At the moment, I can't say too much because I'm launching everything bit by bit. But my main focus at the moment is focusing on the single, and just updating everyone on all the process. So I think that's my main focus at the moment. Just want to say thank you so much for all the support and thank you for being part of this interview with me and checking it out, and thank you for the interview. I hope this shows a bit of more of an insight on my life and things with the questions and answers I've given. And I also want to say to you, if you didn't know where to find my social pages or anything like that, or you're new to finding out about me, you can check on my page on firstly Twitter, which if you type in musician JRL, all one word, and the JRLs in capitals, you find me on there. If you love Instagram, it'll be just musician JRL on there. And if you're on Facebook, it's www.facebook.com/musicianjrl, and again all one word and the JRLs in capitals. I've just launched a new session musician and solo artist website/page, which is on Music Glue, so it's www.musicglue.com/musicianjrl, all one word again. And there's some merch on there I've just launched. Lots of extras, things about projects and stuff I've been working on and previous projects I've worked in and music videos. It's got a list of musicians I've worked with and past things, photos. There's just so much on there, and I will be launching more news as the weeks go on there, as well as on all the other social media pages. So, and I have a YouTube channel and things like that, so if you check out all those pages, there'll be updates and things on those and links to all those pages too. Thank you again for having me, and have a wonderful week. Take care. Love you all.